said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Because it's all part of the plan.
I'll be back.
Are you not entertained?
You talking to me?
It's time.
Here's Johnny.
The Diluted Film Dive podcast.
Drink your milkshake.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
I'll have what she's having.
And now here's your host,
Here I come.
Jess and Uncle Gary.
Get down.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Diluted Film Dive. I'm your host Jazz, and over here we have Uncle Gary.
Hello. How are you, Garin? What have you been watching lately, brother?
I went to watch The Black Phone, the Ethan Hawke horror film. It was pretty good. Not the best, but it's like a good, fun, like little crazy little ride. What about you?
Wait, who wrote that?
That's actually a good idea. That's actually a good idea. It's actually a good question. Because when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is just basically any Stephen King book ever. And then I was like confused, like why haven't I seen Stephen King's name all over this? And then it turns out it's actually written. It's like based on a story by none other than I forgot his name because his name hasn't got King at the end of it. It's something Hill, and it's Stephen King's son.
No shit.
Yeah.
No.
And then the director was the one who made Doctor Strange, the first one, like something.
Oh, Scott Derrickson. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a good, fun little watch. But what about you?
Okay, so TV-wise, I've been watching probably what everyone's currently watching: Barry, The Boys, Miss Marvel, and Obi-Wan. Movie-wise, I recently saw Top Gun.
Oh yeah, I watched that too. That was good.
With my dad, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I feel like that might be an episode in the future because we both seen it, so might as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I feel like we say a lot of promises for the next episode, and then we just don't.
No, but we did Batman. We mentioned that one. Doctor Strange, we've done. We're gonna do. Yeah. I know me and you both have reserved Thor 4 within like a 5-hour period of each other on the same day, which is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. And if your people who are listening to this, if they listen to it as soon as it was released, they'll realize that Doctor Strange isn't available because we've made a few episodes, but we haven't exactly published them because we don't want to throw them all out in one day and then like just have clusterfuck you with loads of information. But what we'll do now is we'll get straight into it. So
yes sir.
Today's episode we're going to be going into the new Netflix film with Adam Sandler called Hustle. And before we go into that film, because this is more of a Adam Sandler, not a slapstick comedy, it's more of it's Adam Sandler in yet another serious film. And of course it has its comedy elements. But before we go into the Hustle, there's no "the" at the front of it, let's just go over our favorite serious Adam Sandler films, and starting with the most recent one I can think of is Uncut Gems.
Yep.
Fucking hell, that film! Like, it took me. Reason why it took me 2 watches is because I was watching it with my sister and my wife, and they were like not enjoying it in terms of they liked the film, but it was like so much chaos going on in it, and it fucked them up. Like, as in, like they were like, I can't carry on watching this. Like, this is too hectic, and I'm struggling to breathe. And I agree with him.
He literally made every wrong decision in the movie, and it just infuriates you when you're watching it.
That's it. It's literally that. And you're like, getting more, and on top of that, he's like screaming down the phone, and you're like, screaming down the phone. And there's a few other serious Adam Sandler films. There's one that I haven't seen, which is Paul Thomas Anderson's Punch Drunk Love. I remember watching. It's quite a not dead old, like it's definitely in the 2000s. I want to say 2005 or six or something like that. But it's from what I remember, and I might be wrong. It's basically about a guy who's happily married, and then I think he kind of gets like in a situation where he like speaks to another girl, and she's a bit crazy though, so she's like trying to ruin his relationship with his wife or something. That's what I remember seeing a trailer. This trailer I watched like a really long time ago, so don't quote me on that, but it looks like an interesting film that I'm gonna definitely watch.
Yeah, so I've seen Punch Drunk Love. So yeah, I mean, like, it's almost there. Essentially, it follows someone with like they have like anxiety. I'm thinking off the top of my head. I haven't watched the movie like 10 years.
Yeah.
It's like essentially just someone with anxiety falls with his sister's coworker, and it's just like a very difficult love affair. It's not an affair, but it's a love, whatever you want to call it. But like honestly, man, like I the one I really like, there's two. So I think it's funny. There's two of them I want to say. The first one's kind of ironic, but Funny People. That's a serious film.
That is,
and he was pretty good in that. Like I think the funniest thing was when he like, are we talking to you or the triple XL version of you? And he points to Jonah Hill about Seth Rogen. That was a hilarious joke. But that's a serious film. And then there's a film called Rain Over Me.
I ain't heard of that.
It's with Don Cheadle, and essentially him and Adam Sandler were roommates in college. Adam Sandler, and they both went their different ways. Don Cheadle's character became a successful guy. I can't remember what he was, but he was very successful in the family, and he was walking the streets of New York, and he saw a homeless person, and it was his old college roommate. And the last time he saw him was like he was married and had kids, so. Like, but that was years and years ago. So I guess he lost his kids and his wife in a car crash, and he kind of just lost himself. So he wasn't homeless, but he looked homeless. But like the place he lived was just a complete mess, and it's kind of just like he went from someone who was a contributing person in society to someone who just lost everything and has lost himself.
Okay.
So that was that's a great film. I really enjoy Rain Over Me. There's one more that I haven't seen, but I'm like reading great reviews about it right now. It's called The Meyerowitz Stories. New and selected in parentheses. I don't know what that means. Like, whatever. And then it's directed by Noah Baumbach. And it's Adam Sandler, Dustin Hoffman, Ben Stiller, Elizabeth Marshall, Emma Thompson, Adam Driver, Sigourney Weaver. Okay. Wow. I'm not going to read this. I think, yeah, but there is another, like, this is. I've seen this on all the top lists because he told me to check out the serious films. So I just checked a few lists out, and this has been on a few of them. So it's essentially... Give me 1 second. Yeah. It's just a family... It's essentially like a family movie. Maybe not necessarily a coming of age, but just like...
Okay. We'll check that out. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll go straight into the film Hustle. What I'll do is I'll go in all hard on this because you know me, I'm not a very in terms of like basketball movies or anything to do with basketball. I don't know, and I'm sure there's a lot of things in here that for you to unpack. So let's go with the basics first right now. So this film is directed by Jeremiah Zager, and in terms of what films he's made, I've not ever heard of him. So it's like films like We, the Animal, and In a Dream. But the written work is where it gets a bit interesting. So the people who wrote it, it was written by Will Fetters, and he actually wrote A Star Is Born, and he also wrote Remember Me. Mentioning, I think I mentioned it when we talked about Robert Pattinson. It's a Robert Pattinson film he made shortly after Twilight, or in between the Twilight films. It's like a little rom-com. And then the co-writer is Taylor Matern, and his only writing credentials are the NBA video game, so 2K19, 2K20. So So he's been writing all the screenplay for all the like the little. I'm guessing there's like a story mode in a career mode or something
Yes.
like that. So he wrote all that. So he got himself a little movie too. And yeah, so my opinion of this film. So moving on to my opinion of this film. So this film, it was like it had that element of like a motivational film of like like almost like the element of Rocky and like of course you mentioned it earlier, and I'll let you go into a bit more like goal. And it had its funny moments like of course it's got Adam Sandler in it.
I'm
And
gonna no. Any of Adam's one-liners in this movie are fucking epic. And then maybe you don't understand all of them because some of them are basketball references. But every time he made like a joke or like a one-liner or like a thing, I was bursting out laughing.
Oh yeah, there's a few like obviously when he's trying to make him like get like be angry of like when he's ripping like trying to like abuse his mom, like verbally abuse his mom, and he's like trying to train him to like get toughen up like on the court and whatnot. They were funny like that's what I mean by the funny moments. His one liners were pretty funny. Obviously, some of them may not have hit for me because I'm not into the lingo, but I feel like there was one part where he went a bit too inspirational, and but then again, I'm starting to think that he can't do a film like this and not try to get that inspirational talk into him. You know, that little pep talk. And there's one little moment of where I forgot what he exactly says, but it's very like it reminded me like straight away my mind went to Rocky, and he's like, it doesn't matter about getting hit, is how hard you get hit or whatever it is, the fucking quote. I forgot about Rocky. But it just reminded me of like it was trying a little like and it got a bit cheesy, but the film overall I enjoyed it. There was not a moment where I was like, oh, I hate this, or oh, this sucks. And the opening scene of the whole thing when he's scouting and he goes to that guy that he's claiming to be 20 or something, 21, and he's clearly not. But
do you recognize him at all?
No, I don't. Who is he?
He's from John Wick. He's a basketball player. He is.
Oh, okay.
But he was in John Wick 3. Remember the library scene with the book when John Wick kills the giant guy with a book?
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
His name is Boban Bojanovic, and he's just the sweetest guy ever. Like all of his interviews are so like he's just a big softie, right? Like,
that's crazy. That like I, as soon as you mentioned John Wick, I was like, I knew straight away who you meant. But then also the only one thing I'm not sure about is, of course, you mentioned before I go into that, you mentioned I'm just guessing as well. There was a lot of introducing like new characters, and then like the camera would stay on them for a little bit longer than usual. So I'm assuming like some of them were actual basketball players or legends in the basketball game, but like that some of them hit, some of them were missed because some of them I recognized. I was like, okay, he's an actual basketballer, and then it wasn't until the credits that I was like, oh, okay, they are basketballers, because they were saying such and such name as themselves or whatever it was, as themselves or whatever it was, as himself or whatever. But there's one thing I want to just talk about, like, is the guy who is the main character, not Adam Sandler, the basketball player, the South American, I want to say South American?
Spanish.
Spanish. Oh, Spanish. So he's from Spain. So this guy, is he an actual basketball player?
Okay, so yes, I'm gonna answer the question you just asked me first before I give my take on the movie. And yes, his name is Juancho Hernan Gomez. It's Juan Hernan Gomez. So he is a basketball player. He's a bit of a role player. He's only played like 10 to 15 minutes a game.
Okay.
He has played for the Spanish national team.
Okay. So he's like a legit player then. Okay.
No, he's a legit role player. He's been in the NBA for the last like 8 seasons, maybe more. No, 4 seasons, excuse me. The thing he has a brother who's a little bit better than him.
Okay.
And
So
the brother plays for Spain for more than him.
So the reason why I asked you, I'll let you carry on in a moment. And the reason I asked you is because I was gonna say like, where the fuck did they pick up this kid? Like his acting was really like annoying. So it wasn't annoying. It was a bit like I was confused because I was like, come on, they have all this money. Why don't they get an actor like a better actor? But now that you mentioned he's a basketball player, it makes sense to me now. So yeah, carry on. He has a brother.
He has a brother who plays in the NBA as well. He comes from an NBA basketball family. His father played for Real Madrid.
Oh, okay.
His younger sister, plays for the Youth Estudiante team where he played as well. Both him and his brother played for the Spanish national team. His brother got bronze in the 2016 Olympics, so that's how good his brother is.
Oh, so it's a family of athletes then.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and
okay, that makes more sense then. Like, I was hating on the acting, but then I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I can't hate on it. It's just an all-star. Like
it's not an all-star player. No, yeah. It's like essentially in this movie, if you did you Jaskorn Singh Buttle did not recognize the character, then they were most likely either a basketball player or a basketball analyst.
Okay, yeah.
100% for the movie. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. That makes sense.
I liked the movie. I thought it was a good watch. It was an easy watch. Like I said before, it very much reminds me of the movie Goal, which is a football/soccer movie where a Mexican immigrant is found playing street footy and gets not drafted, but gets signed by Newcastle United. So, and essentially, like, there's two more movies. One's based in the Champions League and one's based in the World Cup.
The ultimate trilogy, that film is.
Yeah.
They sucked, to be honest. The first one was like decent.
The first one was great, and they had a few Oasis songs in the soundtrack, so I'm a bit of a sucker for the first one, but I didn't even bother watching the second two, because like...
Yeah, they were just like, he moves to Real Madrid in the second one, and then the third one's about him like losing, like he's missing out on football, but then he gets, I think it's the national team in the third one, I'm not 100% sure.
But it was a good movie. It's an easy watch. LeBron James produced it.
Oh yeah, I saw his name.
And actually, one thing that you mentioned being a bit cheesy, but like there was character development for the Juan Hernandez character played by Bo Cruz. That was his name. So Bo Cruz had tattoos on his chest and his left shoulder and arm, because those represent his mom and sister, or mom and daughter, who he will always take care of. His father ran out on the family, and that was dedicated to his right side, which there was no tattoos.
That's
it. And at the very end of the film, towards the end of the film, he tells Adam Sandler's character that you were my tree. Like, you were able to let me not worry about my family, not worry about anything but basketball, and I became a professional. You were my oak tree. And he literally ends up with an oak tree tattoo and plays with Adam Sandler's character, who was a scout who became an assistant coach, but then became a scout again because he was so good at it. Mm-hmm. And he also was a player, but in the college, so he saw Stan as the father figure that he never had, and plays the number 22 to represent him.
Yeah, and like there's one, I gotta get it out off my chest. There's one part where me and my wife, me and Priya, we were laughing, and it wasn't anything that was funny. It was literally like, the last game, or one of the last games, and then the camera just all of a sudden zooms into his wife, who's played by Queen Latifah, and we were like, that was so unnecessary. Like, it was like, and she's smiling towards it, but it's like a full-on quick, like from far away to zoom in straight into her face.
Dude, they did that a few times, actually. Yes, it's like the Sam Raimi thing, right? But it's like, no, I remember.
Like, it was like proper zooming in for no reason, though. Like, there's no good reason for it. And then there's one part where I started laughing as well, when I think Bo Cruz, the character's name, he points at his daughter, and his daughter looks back to point back, but she's like got the most miserable face, and she's, like, pointing back, and you're like, okay, that was like a bit forced. But like, then again, it's like these things with these elements that we are laughing at, except for that camera work. They have to happen in a film like this, like a sport film like this, where it involves the motivational, like anything to motivate. It has to have them slight cheesiness in there. Otherwise, it doesn't work unless you're a really, really good writer, like fucking Aaron Sorkin. Sorkin is his name. Like he's like an incredible writer. Like if he wrote the film, I'm sure he would go on his fucking 10-page monologue on inspiration. But this is like a good, decent film. I'm not going to say anything bad about it, other than the camera work that made me laugh. But I enjoyed it.
I'm going to end it on this note, Karan, and I don't think either of us have mentioned it. Adam Sandler was great in this.
Oh shit! Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I think that's why the movie worked. So, like, watch this, guys, people. Watch this movie, guys.
Yeah, definitely go. You don't need to go anywhere. It's on Netflix, so pay for your subscription and don't cancel it. But yeah, I think he should do more serious films. Like as much as I enjoy. Well, I haven't watched any of his funny stuff since like a long time, like the late 90s, I think. But other than that, I think he should start doing more serious stuff because and he is going to be in the next Safdie Brothers film. I think they're teaming up again, so that's good news. Something more like Uncut Gems and Good Time, please. Something on that level. That'll be great. So yeah, I'm going to end it on there. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for listening. Over to you, Gary.
Let's go Blue Jays. Let's have a good one. Everyone, I love you. Goodbye.
You've been listening to Diluted Film Dive. Follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Diluted Film Dive.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Thanks for listening.